Welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to be looking at and discussing the endocrine system. The endocrine system is unique. The endocrine system is unique because everything that it secretes without a duct. It just secretes it directly into the blood. We have an endocrine system, we have an exocrine system. Well, the exocrine system is just exocrine secretions. These are things that we send through a duct to ultimately get into the blood or, release out of the body through a sweat gland type of thing. But our endocrine glands, they secrete just directly into the blood. There's no duct that they secrete with. We have a number of endocrine glands, organs, scattered throughout the body. These are some of our major ones here. The pituitary gland right here. It dangles down below the brain here. It actually dangles right in front of where the optic nerve crosses over. So you can have optic nerve tumors. It can push on that pituitary gland and cause you some issues. The hypothalamus and the pituitary gland have a unique connection with one another. Part of the pituitary gland, the back part of it, they call it posterior pituitary, is actually neurological tissue. It just descends down from this hypothalamus region during development in utero. And so there is an intimate connection between these two. The hypothalamus produces a couple of hormones, and they are stored within the posterior pituitary. The anterior pituitary is glandular tissue. It develops from really the roof of the mouth, where the roof of the mouth develops in utero and comes on up. So it's a unique little fun organ there. The other ones that you see on here, the pineal gland, it's back here. And the pineal gland secretes some serotonin, and allows you to be asleep when it's dark and be awake when it's light. Fantastic little creature there. Some of the other major endocrine producing organs that we have here, we have the thyroid gland, the parathyroid gland. These are on the backside, the posterior aspect of the thyroid. We have the thymus, which basically drapes over the heart, produces some stuff involved with the immune response. We have the adrenal glands down here, the pancreas, the gonads. I mean, really, for all intents and purposes, everybody, all of these endocrine organs are basically singular. The only thing paired are your gonads, testes and ovaries, the adrenal glands. Everybody else is pretty much singular. So that's kind of unique in the grand scheme of things when it comes to these organs. Everything's pretty much paired, it seems like. Except for these organs here. All of these endocrine glands, endocrine organs, they secrete ductless into the blood. And all of these hormones that these various different glands are secreting out are really affecting something really far away. So they don't have an effect close. Well, they can. But for all intents and purposes, a lot of stuff within the pituitary gland go and have an effect on all this other stuff further down south here. There's a number of hormones that get secreted that affect the adrenal gland, the pancreas, the gonads. So they don't have to necessarily cause an effect close by. They can cause an effect further down the line. Here you go. Here's that hypothalamus. Here are the two hormones associated with it. Oxytocin and antidiuretic hormone. They also secrete a stimulating hormone, a inhibiting hormone for pretty much everybody that we have within the system. Well, we can have an adrenocorticotropic stimulating hormone. We can have an adrenocorticotropic inhibiting hormone that causes ACTH to be produced or inhibits ACTH from being produced. So the hypothalamus does a ton of work in the grand scheme of things. So these are those two hormones that I was making reference to just a bit ago that are stored within the posterior pituitary. So those are those two hormones that are associated with it. Antidiuretic hormone, as you might imagine, enables the body to hold on to water, prevent urine formation, so you're holding on to water within the body. Oxytocin, there's a number of things that it's involved with. It's involved with breastfeeding. The book talks about bonding, whether that be with your child as you breastfeed, or with your spouse, or your mate choice, probably more basic with that. Pineal gland, I talked about that. That's part of the epithylamus there within that portion of the brain. Pineal gland is involved with helping it to keep us awake. You actually have some cells that are within the brain. You don't have to know it, suprachiasmatic nucleus, that are influencing the pineal gland in order to, again, keep us awake. That's why they suggest not wearing or not looking at a device, TV, phone, tablet, whatever, at night, because that light stimulates those clock cells, basically, to keep the pineal gland pumping out the hormones in order to keep you awake. So that's the reasoning behind that. Melatonin, again, is that circadian rhythm. Serotonin is the neurotransmitter involved with this system as well. So again, these help to keep you awake when it's light, and asleep when it's dark outside. So again, some word analysis here on a lot of this fun stuff. There is some abbreviations that you would need to know here. So here we have endocrine and endocrinology. Remember, ology is always somebody who is studying something, okay? Ology is study of endocrine. Well, what's endocrine? Endocrine means secreting within, and these are secreting within the body, okay? They're all produced within the endocrine glands, and they secrete that secretion directly into the blood. Hormone and hormonal, again, is something pertaining to. AL is always pertaining to, okay? Ology, study of. AL, pertaining to a hormone. Well, what's a hormone? A hormone, as you can see right there, means to just set in motion. These are hormones that get dumped into the blood at one location and have an effect somewhere else down the road. It sets in motion multiple other things, getting milk production, getting pancreatic secretions to occur, whatever the case may be. So I may ask potentially, who's anterior pituitary, who's posterior pituitary, but really more important than that, you should really understand what these abbreviations mean. Because a lot of times, I know I use these quite a bit in anatomy and physiology, So really understanding what FSH is, follicle stimulating hormone, okay? Luteinizing hormone, LH. Well, FSH develops the follicles. What's a follicle? Well, follicles where your sex cells develop. They develop within what we call follicles. So it's involved with egg production, sperm production. Luteinizing hormone has a much huger effect in women. LH does. It helps to stimulate the ovary development. So it's involved with the development of the egg. It actually, luteinizing hormone spikes around day 14 of your ovarian cycle and causes the release of that mature egg, so it can be fertilized by the sperm. In males, it does something with testosterone production. TSH is thyroid stimulating hormone. This helps to produce some hormones from the thyroid gland, thyroxine. It's going to be involved with metabolism and whatnot. ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormones. These are hormones that are pertaining to the adrenal glands. Okay, trophic. These are going to be things that are helping the body in a number of different things. There's secretions from the adrenal gland involving the reabsorption of salts, sodium. There's ones involved with glucose. There's ones involved with sex hormones, sugar, salt, sex. So, all of these are corticosteroids, and they do a number of different effects. Prolactin, PRL, this stimulates the mammary glands to produce milk. Obviously, this is going to be involved with women. For men, not really sure. Maybe does a couple things. Maybe does one thing, maybe. But really, that's a woman's hormone in the grand scheme of things because of mammary gland development. The last one, growth hormone. And I imagine you can figure out what growth hormone causes. Yes, growth. Again, here are my two here, oxytocin, an antidiuretic hormone. I already made reference to what these guys do, but I'll say it again. Oxytocin is involved with the milk letdown process, so it's involved with breast. It's also involved with uterine contraction, so when you're getting ready to spit that little creature out of you as a woman, this is going to be spiking as well. Antidiuretic helps you to control urine formation, prevents urine formation in the grand scheme of things, so your water levels can rise back up within the body. Okay. Antidiuretic, oxytocin, PRL, prolactin. SAD is seasonal affective disorders, and we see a ton of that now. A lot more people are very sensitive to that, if you will, and that's an issue with the pineal gland. I'm going to put pineal gland. Pineal gland issue. Excuse me on that, guys. Define each. Okay, we just looked at each of these. Again, I think I probably asked a question or two based on these. All of these hormones are from the anterior pituitary. Oh, we do have some various different procedures and tests, if you will. I don't go into it a whole heck of a lot. Biopsy, that's just when we remove a surgical procedure to remove a tumor in order to look at it under a microscope and diagnose what it is. We do these with growths, tumor, non-tumorous growths. MRI is magnetic resonance imaging. I will write that out for you all. Magnetic resonance imaging. Magnetic resonance imaging. This is going to show tumor growth. Okay. Blood or urine test. This is going to measure various different levels of hormones released from the pituitary gland. Probably really good, easy test to do. And then visual test field. I talked about the optic nerves, the nerves coming back from the eye. They cross basically right in front of where the pituitary is. I have a picture here. I don't know if the book had one. I didn't have one in the notes and I didn't see one, but right here in that blue dot, that's your pituitary gland. These are your eyeballs, obviously. And you can see where that optic nerves come back and cross over and cause basically the collection of various different fields of vision to occur. Okay. But right there, if we can get a growth occurring on that tumor, it can push on the optic nerves there on the optic tract, and that can cause some vision issues. Depending upon which way the tumor goes, gives you different symptoms associated with your loss of vision. But visual field test allows you to kind of see if it's something that we can do to see what are you losing. Okay, if it's pushing right here, you're losing. What are we losing? Well, we're losing this. Okay, losing this here. Okay, so a visual field test is pretty cool for that. So what would I ask? What are these associated with helping you to diagnose pituitary issues, just because where the pituitary gland is? Again, I've asked a lot of questions based on root words and whatnot, suffixes, prefixes. Osmolality. Osmol is the root word here. Osmol means concentration. I'll just write concentration. Concentration. We look for the osmolarity or osmolality of different hormones, secretions within the blood. Optic, opt always means vision. Optic nerve is the vision nerve. Biopsy, we all know. Biopsy, we cut something. Opsy is a surgical procedure here in order to remove something. Bio means life. So we are looking at something to see if it is a live cell, basically. Adenoma, oma is tumor. Adene means gland. And we're just looking for tumorous growths on various different glandular structures.